हेलो दोस्तों, वेलकम टू द बज द ब्रेव मांगा। आज हम ग्लोबल फ्रीज का नया चैप्टर कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं जो मैंने आपके लिए इंग्लिश में रिव्यू राइट किया है। पूरा विजुअल्स और एडिट्स मैंने खुद बनाया है ताकि एक्सपीरियंस स्मूथ रहे। ओरिजिनल मांगा को ऑफिशियल सोर्स से सपोर्ट ज़रूर करें। चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं आज का चैप्टर।
Chapter 28, 26 The Eye of Ra. Under the blazing sun, everything must turn to ashes. Holding a golden scepter, Hulan let out this furious roar. He had to prove that he could defeat Zhang Yi and uphold the pride of the Ula race's strongmen. The golden scepter is inlaid with the Eye of Ra and is a living entity, a biological weapon created by a powerful creature from ancient times, just like the divine refinement and the god-slaying bow. Its characteristic is the ultimate release of thermal energy. The white beam of light was about to burn through the defense and touch Zhang Yi's body. But Zhang Yi remained completely calm. The Taishi Yukata is his outermost layer of defense, but it is not his only defense. Buzz. Wearing the Godslayer armor, underneath, the black armor that combines the liquid crystal lattice of the Ironclad clan and the solidified spirit of the Nightmare clan, at this moment demonstrated its defensive power as a crystallization of top-level technology. The black light instantly hardened, forming an absolutely smooth mirror shield. Boom! The remaining beam of light struck the god-slaying armor, and the enormous impact propelled Zhang Yi backward for hundreds of meters. His feet carved two deep furrows in the void, and his chest armor turned bright red, even emitting blue smoke. But in the end, it was blocked. You're pretty strong. Zhang Yi patted the scorching hot armor on his chest, his eyes gradually turning cold. As expected of a veteran powerhouse who is 2,000 points stronger than you, relying solely on defense is indeed a bit difficult. You even have a slight chance of breaking through your skin, something you haven't done in a long time. Since that's the case. Zhang Yi looked up suddenly, and the black hole and the pendulum in his eyes lit up at the same time. I'll have to use some real tactics to play with you. He is no longer passively enduring abuse. He chose to attack. Domain expansion. Boundless sword domain. Clang, 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 clang. Countless sharp sword energies soared into the sky, instantly covering the ravaged battlefield. But this time, the sword domain wasn't used to attack, but rather to create distance. Using the sword energy as cover, Zhang Yi retreated instantly, widening the distance between himself and Hulan by tens of thousands of meters in the blink of an eye. Trying to run away? What do you mean? Hulan was stunned. It was clearly the other party who had deployed a spatial domain, so why did they choose to stay away instead of taking advantage of their home field to fight in close combat within her own domain? Hulan couldn't figure out Zhang Yi's thoughts at all, so she chose to remain cautiously in place. But soon, Euler stopped paying attention to Zhang Yi. Because Zhang Yi kept increasing the distance between the two parties, he knew that the distance between them exceeded 100 kilometers. They were completely invisible to the naked eye, and Hulan even suspected that Zhang Yizhen wanted to escape. But Zhang Yi stopped when he felt the distance was about right, and turned around to look back. The man hovered in the void, slowly raised his hand, and pulled out a huge, suffocating weapon from the black void rift. God-killing bow, It was a giant, crimson bow, 3 meters long, larger than Zhang Yi himself. It is not just a weapon, it is like a living creature. The dark red veins on the bowed body were constantly writhing, as if blood vessels were transporting magma-like blood. Faintly, even from a great distance, Hulan could hear the deep, powerful heartbeats, like war drums. That was the oppressive aura of the strong. Thump, thump, thump. Each throb caused the surrounding space to tremble. That's a Titan artifact. Hulan's pupils suddenly contracted, and a strong sense of crisis surged into her heart. How did that madman Karen end up with his weapon? Zhang Yi naturally couldn't answer his question, because he couldn't hear it either. He held the bow in one hand, and the muscle lines of his arm, wrapped in the God Destroyer armor, made him look extremely powerful. Can't see the opponent? It's okay, as long as I can see the future. Seeing the future allows one to know where the other person will be within seconds. Like a deity observing all beings, one transcends the limitations of the human eye and surveys the entire world. Call. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and continuously poured the boiling netherworld power within his body into the bow. Buzz! The god-slaying bow emitted an excited hum, and the crimson light on its body was instantly dyed into a deep, dark black. Zhang Yi's right hand rested on the bowstring, his fingers gripping it tightly. In that instant, his world changed. In his left eye, the second hand of time spun wildly, and countless possibilities for the future unfolded before him. He saw the flow of the wind, the ripples of energy, and even more so, all the dodge routes Hulan took within those few seconds. Right eye, formless realm locks down space. He constructed a folded spatial passage in front of the arrow, a shortcut to the inevitable hit. And the arrow that was gathering energy in his hand was no longer ordinary alien energy, but rather antimatter. That is an arrow of nothingness capable of annihilating all existence. This aura. In the distance, Hulan's hair stood on end. As a member of the aura race, possessing the instincts of a wild beast, he smelled the scent of death. The smell was so strong that even he, a powerful figure known as the Grim Reaper, felt suffocated. Damn it! We can't let him ejaculate, Hulan roared, and the golden scepter in his hand once again burst forth with dazzling light as he tried to cut off Zhang Yi's power accumulation. But it was too late and too far. He simply couldn't rush over in time to prevent Zhang Yi from firing the arrow. Zhang Yi loosened his grip. Ultimate Sniper, the final chapter of fate.
Boom.
A deep, resounding bowstring rang out, shattering the clouds within a 10-mile radius. There are no special effects or spectacular visuals. A jet-black line, about the thickness of a finger, silently sliced through space. That's too fast. My thoughts are too fast to keep up with my mind. Hulan felt a blur before her eyes, and the black line was already in front of her. Get out of the way! He screamed inwardly, his body instinctively darting to the right in a rapid dodge. As a Black Knight-level expert, his reaction speed is undeniably fast. In his perception, he had successfully avoided the trajectory of that arrow. However, just as he dodged to the side, the black arrow that should have just grazed past me actually vanished in midair. No, it's not eliminate. It's a leap. It skipped the middle spatial distance, ignored inertia and trajectory, and appeared directly at the position after Hulan dodged. It was as if there was an arrow waiting for him to run into that spot. This is the final chapter of destiny, waiting for you at the end of the cycle of reincarnation. You have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Chapter 28-27, A Disgraceful Exit. What? Hulan stared wide-eyed in horror. This was the last image he saw. The jet-black arrow struck his chest without any resistance. His prized golden armor, under the annihilation of antimatter, crumbled and dissolved instantly, like paper. Immediately afterwards, he held the golden scepter in his hand. He tried to block with his scepter, but the scepter was blasted away the moment it touched the arrow, and the eye of Ra, embedded in it, shattered into powder.
Boom, 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 boom,
boom. An indescribable, terrifying force exploded in his chest. Hulan's massive 5-meter-tall body was sent flying backwards like a rag doll blasted by a shotgun. He tumbled several meters in the air before crashing heavily onto a black mountain peak. Bang! The entire peak was snapped in half by the impact, with rocks flying everywhere and dust obscuring the sky. Much later, the smoke and dust cleared. The once arrogant Grim Reaper, Hulan, was now lying miserably in the pile of rubble. A terrifying hole, over 1/2 meter in diameter, appeared in his chest, visible from both the front and back. No blood flowed from the wound, because all the flesh and bones had been instantly annihilated, leaving only the charred edges still emitting black smoke.
But he didn't die.
The Ula race's powerful and abnormal vitality allowed him to burn his own essence at the last moment to protect his heart and brain, keeping him alive. Cough, cough, cough. Hulan coughed up large mouthfuls of black blood, her eyes unfocused, filled with fear and despair.
He lost.
We lost completely. Despite having a superpower index 2,000 points higher than the opponent, he was instantly killed by the opponent's arrow. So this is an inhuman who has comprehended supercosmic power? As expected, the gap is too big. His heart was ice cold, even filled with despair. When a crane stands out from the crowd of chickens, it exudes a sense of aloofness and glory. But when this crane ventures into a larger realm, it discovers that it is just another chicken in the eyes of others. The inner collapse was indescribable. Da da da. Footsteps sounded. Zhang Yi, carrying the magic weapon, slowly descended from the sky and walked in front of Hulan. He looked down at this once arrogant deity, his eyes as calm as a deep pool of water. Hulan struggled to move, but found that she didn't even have the strength to lift a finger. You won. Hulan gave a bitter laugh, closed her eyes, and said, "Kill me. The victor is king, the loser is villain. I have nothing to say." However, the expected event did not occur. Zhang Yi looked at him quietly, and after a moment, slowly spoke. "You just said that you would spare my life for the sake of the coalition forces. Though your arrogance was evident, those words saved your life." Zhang Yi put away the magic and turned to walk towards the door. "I won't kill you. This arrow evens things out. If you dare to block my way again, you won't be so lucky." Hulan was stunned as she watched Zhang Yi's departing figure. He didn't understand. In this dog-eat-dog world, is it really possible for someone to let go of an enemy who almost killed them? Zhang Yi's idea was actually very simple. First, Hulan did not show a do-or-die attitude, giving Zhang Yi a promise to leave him a breath. This was a way out. Secondly, and most importantly, the Euler race is very strong. This is a powerful ancient civilization whose overall strength surpasses that of the 5 major ethnic groups. Although Zhang Yi was not afraid of the Oilers, he was an extremely rational and pragmatic individual. Killing Hulan here would bring no real benefit other than venting one's anger. On the contrary, it would thoroughly enrage the Ula tribe and create a powerful mortal enemy for oneself. In a place as fraught with danger as the Starry Sky Corridor, every additional mortal enemy adds to the peril. Now that we've already seized the core of the world, established our authority, and subdued the other side, there's no need to go to extremes. Cough cough. Chaos. As Hulan watched that retreating figure, the resentment in her eyes gradually dissipated, replaced by a complex emotion, awe for the powerful. When Zhang Yi walked out of that shattered battlefield, the battle on the other side has also ended. Huda stood amidst ruins, her feet resting on the sky eagle, Wantu, who was tormented by nightmares, foaming at the mouth and delirious. On the other side, Yang Xinxin was sitting on Huahua's back, playing with the data terminal in her hand. Not far in front of her, the speed-renowned shadow hunter, Kaz, was kneeling on the ground, his hands clutching his own neck, his face turning purple, greedily inhaling the air. Just now, Yang Xinxin had broken free from her air-freezing technique. Neither of them won with much difficulty, but Yang Xinxin's victory was clearly easier. Because, like Zhang Yi, she was a user who had experienced the baptism of the spiritual ocean and awakened the power of the super-universe. The ability to alter the universe's underlying code, a natural bug. Her mind, an even more terrifying bug. When Zhang Yi came out, the two of them looked over at the same time. "All done?" Yang Xinxin asked with a smile. Zhang Yi nodded. After the domain behind him dissipated, Hulan's body looked like it was about to shatter, but she used drugs to forcefully maintain her breath. It won't be long before he regains his mobility. However, if he wants to make further gains in the upcoming Star Corridor operation, he should first return to the Oilers' warship and heal himself. The Black Summit, with its biting winds, churned up the billowing black smoke from the industrial city below, yet it could not conceal the tragic aura lingering on the altar.
Hulan is gone.
This top expert of the Yola race was now like an old dog with its spine broken. His once majestic jackal head drooped limply, and although the horrific hole in his chest pierced by the antimatter arrow had stopped bleeding, the charred flesh around it still exuded an aura of destruction. He didn't look back again and didn't even leave a single polite word. Supported by Sky Eagle, Wantu, and Shadow Hunter, Kaz on either side, These three once arrogant gods staggered through the spatial rift and fled this sorrowful place in a sorry state. In this cruel corridor of stars, survival is the greatest blessing, for the victors are kings and the losers are villains. With the obstacle gone, everyone's gaze finally fell unreservedly on the center of the altar. There, suspended, was a crystal powerful enough to drive any living being mad. High-level world core. It is about the size of a baby's fist and has an irregular, multifaceted rhombus shape. But this tiny object seems to contain the starlight of the entire universe. A rainbow halo flows slowly inside the crystal, like the breath of life itself. Chapter 28 Ether Aggregate World Core. Each pulsation of light resonates with the surrounding space, producing a melodious wind chime sound. That's the voice of rules becoming tangible. To the average person, this might just be a beautiful gemstone. But in the perception of high-level supernatural beings like Zhang Yi, Ho Tu, and Yang Xinxin, this was simply the most deadly poison and the most perfect tonic in this world. What it contains is the purest and ultimate ether, the underlying code that constructs the cycle of matter and energy. So beautiful. Even the usually composed Ho Tu couldn't help but murmur infatuation at this moment. She could sense that once she swallowed this core, her understanding of the rules would definitely reach a new level. No one can resist this temptation. It's the deep-seated desire of the soul to replenish itself. If every intelligent being is a fragment or avatar of the Creator, then they naturally possess an instinctive desire to become the original being. Each fusion of ether fragments represents a period of growth. Theoretically, as long as they can perpetuate this cycle and continue to acquire ether fragments, they will eventually surpass the Ether Sea, Kagago himself. At that time, they were the creators. Therefore, no one can resist this kind of temptation. It is indeed very beautiful. Zhang Yi slowly stepped forward, extended his palm, and felt the warm yet powerful energy emanating from his fingertips. Just then, a cold and somewhat disdainful voice suddenly rang out from the depths of his mind. Is this crude aggregate really worth your outburst? It's Ling. Although the human form of this Ihan tribe member was not out in person at the moment, Zhang Yi could sense that she was pouting in the shadows. It still needs to rely on the core of this entity as an anchor point to forcibly support the operation and rule stability of a small world, which means that the space technology of the Star Sky clan was still very immature back then. Ling's voice carried the arrogance and criticism characteristic of advanced civilization. True innovation should be about rules permeating everything, subtly influencing all things. Putting all your eggs in one basket is like trying to power a spaceship with a steam engine, outdated and fraught with safety risks. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi's lips twitched involuntarily, revealing a helpless, bitter smile. Miss, please don't just stand there and talk like you don't understand the situation. He silently responded in his heart. In the eyes of your Ihan race, all other races in this universe, apart from yourselves, are probably no different from primitive people who haven't yet learned how to use wood to make, a type of ancient Chinese tool. Even the great god-level civilization of the is at most an ancient who has just learned how to use bronze tools. For us, near the mud people who are still struggling in the mud, this thing is already an invaluable artifact. Ling gave a soft hum and fell silent, clearly acknowledging Zhang Yi's statement. Zhang Yi shook his head and composed himself. Without further hesitation, the power of the void surged from his palm, directly covering the core of the world. Receive. Buzz. With a soft hum, the core that supported the entire small world's operation instantly disappeared into Zhang Yi's possession and was stored in the deepest part of the alternate dimension, sealed away by layers of time and space rules. As the core disappeared, the black mountain beneath their feet trembled slightly, and the clouds in the sky grew even darker, as if this world had lost its heart and was slowly decaying. From this moment forward, this world will be put on pause. Creatures will cease to evolve and may even gradually face extinction. But Zhang Yi didn't care about any of that. He didn't have the extra kindness to give to these artificial races that he didn't understand at all. Zhang Yi turned around and met the fervent, envious, and even longing gazes of the crowd. Even powerful figures like Luo Qiao and Shun Feng were extremely envious. However, they are allies of Zhang Yi, and this thing was snatched from Hulan by Zhang Yi, so they said they wouldn't take a share. As for King Arthur, Sarah, and the others, their eyes were practically glued to Zhang Yi's face. That's a treasure that can fundamentally change your strength. Faced with these gazes, Zhang Yi neither avoided them nor felt the embarrassment of having kept the treasure all to himself. He casually spread his hands, his tone calm and matter-of-fact. Everyone, this core is of average quality, but it's very useful to me. So, I'll accept it for now. There were no pretentious pleasantries. It was just that direct. As the absolute core and strongest force of this temporary team, Zhang Yi played a decisive role in both repelling the Ula tribe and discovering this coordinate. It's only natural that he takes the lion's share. King Arthur and Sarah exchanged a glance, their eyes dimming slightly, but they quickly regained their composure. They are self-aware. Without Zhang Yi, they wouldn't have been able to get the core. They would probably have died in Hulan's trap by now. That's natural. Sarah bowed slightly, her voice hoarse. The spoils belong to the strong. This is an eternal truth. Lord Chaos possesses the greatest strength, so they rightfully belong to you. King Arthur nodded. We're already very fortunate to be able to have a sip of soup. Although they said that, it was inevitable that they felt disappointed. Zhang Yi took in everyone's expressions, smiled, and changed the subject. However, since we're all in the same boat, I won't let you make a wasted trip. In this star corridor, spherical miniature worlds are as numerous as hairs on a cow. Although there are not many advanced worlds like this that have nurtured complete civilizations, there are quite a few worlds that are still in the early stages of evolution and have small cores. Zhang Yi's gaze swept over the people's allies, and he made a promise to. Next, if I encounter any small-scale netherworld cores of slightly lower quality or with a single attribute, I will prioritize allocating them to you. After all, more energy isn't always better. This advanced core is enough for me to digest for a long time. I can't bite off more than I can chew, and I have to consider my own limits. That's the truth. The body of an inhuman is like a container. Although it can be continuously expanded through repair chains, pouring in too much high-concentration ether in a short period of time will only lead to the body exploding or, like the Omega Echo, turning into an out-of-control monster. Hearing Zhang Yi's words, the previously somewhat low morale instantly soared. Real. Morgan's eyes lit up as he rubbed the gold ring on his wrist. That's great. I'm not picky about food. I can manage with the smaller ones. Thank you, Lord Chaos. King Arthur also showed a look of joy. As long as Zhang Yi said that, their trip wasn't in vain. Following the big brother really does bring rewards. Chapter 28-29 Scavenger Zhang Yi did not forget to tell the representatives of the allied forces, including the Construct race, the Spirit race, and the Abyss race, that he would help them obtain the World Core. They weren't foolish enough to hoard everything. These races were powerful and possessed many extraordinary abilities. In the upcoming operations, these races will provide significant assistance to us. Luo Qiao and Shun Feng nodded, their gazes towards Zhang Yi becoming much gentler. After all, judging from the strength shown by Zhang Yi's team, they are superior to them. A powerful ally, yet how humble are they towards us? What other opinions do we have? Zhang Yi's actions both secured benefits and gave everyone hope, leaving no one feeling uncomfortable. He truly mastered the art of balance, just as everyone was immersed in their beautiful visions for the future. Woof! Woof woof! A puzzled bark from a dog broke the harmonious atmosphere. The alien dog, Ryan, who had been following Professor Da Vinci around, was sticking his butt out, sniffing around with his nose pressed against the ground, his titanium alloy dog eyes full of confusion. What's wrong, you idiot? Leonardo da Vinci kicked it. Ryan raised his head, his ears perked up, and looked around blankly. Boss, where is that old man? Old man. Zhang Yi was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized what was happening. He quickly looked around. Yang Xinxin, Ho Ji, Li Changgong, Zhiyu, even Luo Qiao of the Ling clan and Shun Feng of the Haiyuan clan were there. Only one person is missing. Montesquieu, the president of the pupil organization. Huh. Zhang Yi frowned, a look of surprise flashing in his eyes. If it weren't for Lioness Reminder, would have completely overlooked this person's existence. That old guy who lived for 2 years had such a low profile. Is like a shadow that could vanish at any moment, always standing silently at the back of the line, without speaking, without making a move, and even its breathing is barely audible. Throughout the entire confrontation, battle, and even the acquisition of the spoils of war with the Aura tribe, not a single person noticed when they disappeared. When did you disappear? Zhang Yi frowned and asked. I don't know. Fatty Su scratched his head. Everyone was watching you pretend, cough cough, watching you argue with Doghead, but who didn't notice that old man? Yang Xinshin immediately pulled up the playback from the battlefield recorder and quickly searched for it. Found it. The image freezes. The moment Zhang Yi opened the spatial gate and led everyone into this small world. Montesquieu, who was at the back of the procession, did not cross that door. Standing outside the door, she pressed down her black top hat, made a silent farewell gesture to the backs of the crowd, and then turned and walked towards the chaotic main battlefield of the Starry Sky Corridor. Did not follow in. Yang Xinshin's dark eyes flashed with an unusual light. It was intentional. Everyone was a little confused. Has this old man gone mad? The outside is full of purifiers and rampaging monsters, and he's wandering around outside all by himself. Does he want to die? Morgan couldn't understand it. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes, looking at the lonely, hunched figure in the picture. No, that's Montesquieu, an old fox who survived 2 years of being hunted down by the papacy and who cherished his life more than anyone else. It's been a long time since I've personally come out. I'm definitely not just here to be a spectator. Zhang Yi pondered for a moment, then waved his hand. Let it go. Everyone has their own secrets and their own purposes. As long as they are not our enemies, as long as they don't try to steal my core, what they want to do is none of my business. We continue our hunt.
Right now.
The Starry Sky Corridor, the outer main battlefield. This place has been completely transformed into a meat grinder-like battlefield. Although the 6 emperors killed Omega Echo and penetrated the core area, the mess they left behind continues to fester. Countless purgers, like locusts swarming across the land, are frantically attacking the allied forces of all races that have lingered here. Those experimental monsters that escaped from the small world are indiscriminately killing in order to survive. The explosion's light, the torrent of water, and the remains of corpses filled this vast white space.
Ran.
Amidst this cataclysmic chaos, an incongruous figure slowly walked along the edge of the battlefield. Montesquieu. He was still wearing that out-of-place old-fashioned black suit and leaning on that well-worn cane. He walked slowly and leisurely, as if strolling in his own backyard. The strange thing is, whether it's the purifiers who are extremely sensitive to the amount of, the Tyrannosaurus Rex warriors who are bloodthirsty, or those crazed monsters, there wasn't a single one that could be seen. Even if a giant tentacle monster swept over your head, causing the wind pressure to ruffle your clothes, the monster wouldn't notice at all, as if it were just a wisp of air. Is a wandering spirit, a ghost forgotten by the world, ignored by cause and effect. This is the taste of destruction. Montesquieu stopped and stood beside the wreckage of a spaceship that had just been destroyed. There, several warriors of an unknown race had just fallen in battle. Their bodies were shattered, but their souls, or rather, the etheric flowers, were slowly dissipating from their corpses, about to return to the cycle of the universe. That was the final radiance of life, the spirituality bestowed upon all things by the Creator. Montesquieu slowly raised his withered, bark-like hand and gently stretched it forward. Dust to dust, G to G. But some things shouldn't just disappear like that. There was no suction force generated in her palm, and she did not use any known strange means. But it seems that is reciting some ancient, long-lost scripture. As whispered, the faint white specks of light that were about to dissipate into the void seemed to be summoned by something, and like fireflies, they slowly gathered towards us palm. That was not plunder. That was a kind of Containment. The light fell on my palm, but instead of burning, it gently melted into my skin. Montesquieu closed his eyes, his face revealing an expression that was almost pious, yet also deeply compassionate. He clasped his hands together, carefully hiding the leftovers he had just collected in his palms, as if they were the most precious kind of roe in the world. I am not the Grim Reaper. I am just a scavenger. Before the true long night falls, I want to preserve a little more light for mankind. When he opened his eyes, his cloudy old eyes reflected the sky full of war and stars. Then, took another step and headed towards the next place where death was most concentrated. Loneliness, steadfastness. Chapter 2830. The spying in the dark. The outer area of the Starry Sky Corridor was originally a desolate white wasteland, but now it has become a battlefield of greed and slaughter. However, this massacre exhibited an extremely bizarre polarization. In most areas, explosions, screams, and the roar of colliding energy filled the air. Those races that don't understand the rules or overestimate their strength are engaged in a hopeless war of attrition against the endless stream of wandering purgers. Each time they unleash their ultimate attack, they attract more and stronger transparent monsters until they are completely devoured. But in the cracks of the battlefield, a team moved like ghosts. The 17th one. Zhang Yi stood in a collapsing miniature world ruin, toying with a pale blue crystal, no bigger than a fingernail, that he had just unearthed. Although it is not large in size, the etheric power contained within is so pure that it is intoxicating. That's it. Let's wrap up and leave. Without any hesitation, Zhang Yi waved his hand, and the black and white light and shadow behind him flowed, instantly activating the domain of all things in the universe. This layer of defense is not for defense, but for deception. The system simulated the energy frequency of the surrounding environment, completely erasing the life, magnetic field, and supernatural energy fluctuations of Zhang Yi and others. To the purifiers, who were extremely sensitive to energy, this group of several dozen people was like a cloud of lifeless cosmic dust, utterly worthless. As the saying goes, even a broken ship has a nail. They wouldn't be foolish enough to fight a self-defense force left behind by a lost, godlike civilization. That would be an extremely foolish act. Although eliminating the purifiers would yield some creators ether fragments as a reward, the cost-effectiveness of these items was far too low. Zhang Yi didn't even bother with them. He absorbed a great deal of the Black Knight level essence within him. It is unbelievable that the myriad races that have survived from the ancient times would be in such a sorry state in the initial stage of the Starry Sky clan's ruins. Huda patted the dust off her body and sighed softly. She was wearing heavy, dark yellow armor, and her long hair was tied up in a high ponytail at the back of her head. His brows exuded a sense of earthy composure and weight. Although she is a woman, the composure she exudes in every gesture is enough to put any man to shame. As a member of the ancient race mentioned by Hutu, Luo Qiao glanced at her, deeming this woman worthy of his attention, and then smiled and said, "The formidable ones are our ancestors, not us. If it weren't for the epic era, most of us superhumans would have struggled to even awaken our powers." The conditions for the appearance of an extraordinary being are extremely demanding, requiring a large number of ether fragments to be concentrated within a single individual. Typically, in the early to middle stages of an era, only exceptional geniuses, or rather the lucky ones, can awaken and become extraordinary beings. Otherwise, these races, which have existed for hundreds of millions or even billions of years, would have long been teeming with powerful individuals. These purifiers are so sensitive to energy that I almost couldn't resist taking action just now. King Arthur's voice was slightly hoarse, yet possessed a magnetic quality. It was the right thing to hold back, Zhang Yi said calmly, glancing elsewhere. Just look over there, and you'll know what's going on. Following Zhang Yi's gaze, a group belonging to the Crystal Rock clan was being besieged by hundreds of purifiers in the distance. Driven by their desire for a large world core, they unleashed their tribe's superweapon, the Amethyst Cannon. That powerful energy fluctuation directly attracted a large number of purgers. This triggered a chain reaction, and now they are overwhelmed by a horde of transparent monsters. The screams of agony are transmitted through mental fluctuations, sending chills down people's spines. Even a pig will learn to dodge if it is whipped too many times. They will soon figure out the rules of this place, and by the time they realize it, our unique product will be gone for long. Zhang Yi withdrew his gaze. Let's go. We've already skimmed off most of the profits here. The real feast is yet to come in the depths of the starry sky corridor. Zhang Yi didn't remind them of their good intentions. Darwin's law is cold and cruel, survival of the fittest. Among all the races, apart from the friendly Deep Blue Kingdom and the Dragon Clan who had a powerful backer, he trusted no one and cared nothing for anyone's life or death. Even today, the Spirit Clan and the Sea Abyss Clan who are cooperating with him might become mortal enemies tomorrow. The fewer rivals, the better. Zhang Yi doesn't want the entire planet to return to the time more than 10 years ago when his family, spanning 6 generations, held absolute power. Following Zhang Yi's footsteps, the group continued their journey deeper into the starry sky corridor, shrouded in the myriad phenomena of the universe. 7 days passed quickly. On the vast scale of the universe, this is but a fleeting moment. But in the distorted space-time of the starry sky corridor, these 7 days were a long and brutal elimination round for the allied forces of 10,000 races. The weak die at the hands of the purgatory, from the collapse of their small worlds, or from a sneak attack from behind. Those who survived and continued to delve deeper were either elites of major civilizations or seasoned veterans with special survival skills. Zhang Yi's team maintained a steady pace, trailing behind the sea lanes opened up by the 6 super races, neither advancing recklessly nor falling behind. Throughout the entire journey, Zhang Yi remained on edge, because he could clearly feel several pairs of eyes fixed on him in the darkness. Those were the remnants of the Spider Demon Clan, Blood Clan, and Nor Clan who had lost their leader. They did not back down out of fear. Instead, like a pack of hyenas that had smelled blood, they followed far behind. Although his gaze was full of vigilance, it contained even more suppressed resentment and greed. A bunch of brainless idiots. Yang Xinxin's voice was cold and tinged with sarcasm. At this moment, she was wearing a fitted silver-black combat uniform, her posture upright, walking steadily beside Zhang Yi. She spoke coldly in Zhang Yi's mind through the mental link. Brother Zhang Yi, should we find an opportunity to kill them all? The way they looked at Zhang Yi made Yang Xinxin very unhappy, and that was enough to kill them. After all, the 2 sides have already broken off relations, so there's no need to give face to either of them. Given Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin's personalities, they would teach their tribe a lesson sooner or later. At best, they'll suffer serious injuries. At worst, their entire clan will be wiped out. This is the price to pay for trying to kill Zhang Yi. No rush. Zhang Yi glanced at the person behind him without making a sound. Killing them now would only give others a pretext, and might even invite intervention from the 6 major clans. Keeping them alive might allow them to serve as scouts at crucial moments. No sooner had he finished speaking than the scene before him suddenly changed drastically. The group had just crossed a seemingly endless white wasteland when their view suddenly opened up. Chapter 28:3010 star, but then, everyone's pupils suddenly contracted. What the hell? In one section of the starry sky corridor, a planet so large it was breathtaking appeared out of nowhere, lying across the center of the spaceway. Its entire body is an eerie ice blue color, with a smooth, mirror-like surface, without any mountain ranges or atmosphere. It hovered there silently, like a dead eye, coldly watching the intruder. From a distance, its surface appears too smooth, almost like a creation of some human rather than something naturally formed. But if it really is man-made, that would be terrifying. Because of its size, it is even larger than Earth. Before anyone could react, a terrifying and irresistible gravitational wave suddenly erupted. Zzz. All the warships sounded their alarms. This gravitational force is not just a physical pull, but more like a magnetic capture of the quantum core. The spaceship's engines shut down instantly, and the shield systems short-circuited due to overload. Power system failure. Anti-gravity engine offline. We've been captured. We're falling. The communication channels of various ethnic groups were filled with terrified shouts. The once majestic interstellar warships were now like kites with broken strings, tumbling headfirst and spinning as they plummeted toward the icy blue planet. Under the terrifying pull of gravity, those massive ship hulls rubbed against the thin interstellar dust, igniting streaks of desperate flames. The outer defensive force field of the Dreamer was also affected, fluctuating violently. Lou Karen quickly manipulated her hands to enhance her defenses and counter the sudden gravitational wave. However, the alarm instruments kept sounding, reminding them that with the power of the Dreamer, it would be difficult to counteract the enormous gravitational waves of that strange planet. What the hell is this? Is it a planet? Lou Karen was sweating profusely, desperately trying to control the Dreamer to escape this area. At this moment, Professor Leonardo da Vinci rushed over, his deadpan eyes fixed on the eerie icy blue planet on the screen, and said in a deep voice, "No, it should be an artificial celestial body. The magnetic field fluctuations on it are strange, periodic, entropy-reducing regional forces." Yang Xinshin remained calm and said indifferently, "Zero star. There's no escaping it. Prepare to land." Her reminder made Zhang Yi suddenly remember something. There was too much recorded in the Jaman text for him to remember, but Yang Xinshin had a photographic memory and immediately brought it up. Through the portholes, one could see warship after warship going out of control and crashing toward the planet's surface. In this critical moment, Zhang Yi reacted the fastest. "Do not resist. This area is not for capturing us." He instructed Lou Karen to stop fighting the gravitational waves, directly control the Dreamer, maintain its balance, and then let it fall freely towards 0 star. The speed increased rapidly, and Zhang Yi's eyes widened as the time and space shifted. 5 seconds before the Dreamer was about to land, he activated his shadow ability, bringing everyone into his possession. Then, he activated the Boundless Realm and arrived outside the Dreamer. He suddenly opened his arms, and a huge portal to another dimension opened beneath the Dreamer. 3 seconds before the warship was about to crash into the ground out of control, he forcibly took it into the alternate dimension. For Zhang Yi, this warship is his precious asset, and he will absolutely not allow it to be lost here. Fortunately, he is a space-type superhuman, so he can easily store even the largest items. However, people from other ethnic groups were not so lucky. In the distance, plumes of black smoke rose, indicating that some less technologically advanced civilizations had lost their warships due to improper operation. Some groups even give up on a safe landing during the descent. Everyone, prepare for emergency landing. Activate individual exoskeletons. Without the protection of the warships, some ancient races of aliens had to rely solely on their physical bodies to withstand the terrifying gravitational acceleration.
Boom, boom, boom.
Countless meteors streaked across the sky, crashing heavily onto the icy blue ground. Everyone relied on their own abilities and landed hastily. This made Zhang Yi appear as steady as an old dog, unharmed by the incident. Not only did Zhang Yi land safely, but as the pendulum of the clock swung in front of him, he anticipated the falling trend of the friendly warships, then raised his right hand and unleashed the power of the formless realm into the space. As space distorted, Zhang Yi frowned. He felt his power dissipating exceptionally quickly here, and the range of his power was being compressed. Without time to think too much, he used the Boundless Realm to intercept the warships of allied forces, including the Spirit Clan, the Abyss Clan, and the Deep Blue Kingdom. After landing, they immediately expressed their gratitude to Zhang Yi. Click. A crisp sound, like bones snapping under the strain, rang out sharply in the desolate, icy blue wasteland. It wasn't anyone's bones that were broken, but the frozen ground beneath Zhang Yi's feet. This large celestial body, which Yang Xinshin named 0 star, has a surface hardness comparable to high-strength titanium alloy. However, under a gravitational acceleration 10 times that of Earth, every object that crash lands from high altitude, even one with a steel body, will be like a heavy armor-piercing bullet, deeply embedded in the earth upon impact. When Zhang Yi exerted his power, a terrifying reaction force acted on him. Zhang Yi slowly straightened up, and the Godslayer battlesuit on his body emitted a faint hydraulic adjustment sound. The exoskeleton's joints emitted faint white steam as its built-in power assist system battled the terrifying gravity. For a fleeting moment, he felt every one of his internal organs sinking downwards, his blood turning into mercury, flowing in his veins with an extremely slow and heavy speed. The sudden imbalance of gravity made him feel slightly uncomfortable. Fortunately, the God-slaying battlesuit is advanced enough to automatically adjust to the most suitable environment for Zhang Yi's physical survival in any situation. I really don't want to experience this feeling again. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. Some warriors from ancient races had their expressions changed drastically after landing. The air inside was thin and cold, carrying a suffocating metallic rust smell. This air not only lacks oxygen, but is also filled with an inert energy factor, which acts like invisible locks, tightly binding the active spiritual energy within the alien's body. Zhang Yi's teammates and allies had assembled around him. Everyone looked up and around. As far as the eye could see, there was a despairing, icy blue.
दोस्तों, ये था आज का चैप्टर। आपको एपिसोड कैसा लगा कमेंट में ज़रूर बताएं। अगर आप मांगा स्टोरीज एंजॉय करते हैं तो वीडियो को लाइक करें और बस द ब्रेव मांगा को सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिए। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में। थैंक यू।